Alright, this is going to be a quick review of the week. I wasn't able to, had some issues with the iPad. But anyway, redundancy, reliability, talked a little bit about firewalls. We talked about DHCP and first hop redundancy protocol. Now, we emphasized in here you did DHCP, your switch virtual interfaces would be the default gateway for all of your devices. In your layer 2 switch you wouldn't be making the pools, your DHCP pools would be here. And we talked a little bit about if you had some type of server, whether it's Linux or Windows, that's serving up the DHCP in a particular VLAN, since broadcasts do not move across VLANs, you would need a helper address to find those servers. Talk a little bit about the lease. The process, we gave the example of an ISP DHCP getting a public address, either 4 or 6. Example, got a static address structure. We talked about the management VLANs being static rather than DHCP. Talked about management, a little bit of spanning tree, bridge protocol data units, the difference between management traffic and production traffic. Right? This is all management traffic used to support. Okay. Address resolution protocol. I can't remember exactly what we were talking about there. This was our layout. Example, we have draw this out. We have a switch connected to the DMZ, to VLAN 20, and DMZ 1. And then we have our 4 connections off of each of these. Connected here, and we put a couple APs on, and we talked a little bit about, in fact we did some demonstrations recently with SSID and VLANs within an access point. You know, you might have a guest account, student account, faculty account, and so forth. It actually creates a trunk there. We got a few Linux machines that are connected in. 23rd, same scenario. We talked about DHCP, IP4, IP6. First hop redundancy protocol. Start talking about security in a layer 2 switch. And now we're getting more complicated. We start talking a little bit about static routes, which we're working now. Default route out, and then we have these static routes pointing in to these stub networks. And then what we did between the routers up here is we ran RIP version 2 so that they're sharing routing information between them. And we redistribute these static routes that are pointing out here. So this router would see those routes and this router would see those routes. And then everybody should have connectivity to everybody else. This is a dynamic routing protocol. We also have BGP and the internet, OSPF, ISIS, EIGRP. Those are all routing protocols. Okay. Security and layer 2 switch. We talked about ports, sticky. Cisco, we talked about Palo Alto, Talos, different resources for security. Physical security, time on curriculum, we talked about that. And then documenting your work. Little review, ether channel, trunks. Configuration topology, little review. We spent some time on troubleshooting. We talked about some of the ideas wrapped around what you would look for. Then the students troubleshooted. We talked about troubleshooting in the OSI model. With little experience, you start at the bottom, work up. With more experience, you can maybe pick the area in which you would start to investigate. We talked about VLANs, ports, native VLAN, shutting down, management, and so forth. And we talked spanning tree, port fast, bridge protocol, data unit guards. You put those on the access ports for security. And we talked in general securing the boards, MAC address table, enable port security, limit MAC addresses, and so forth. ARP, DHCP. So, and then we talked a little bit about, some like intrusion protection systems, and what triggers it, and then what action you take based on some policy. That's something to always consider whenever you're considering security. Configurations. Students put security on their switches. We start talking about Wi-Fi standards, wireless LANs, autonomous controlled base. Talked about frequencies and channels and 802.11, radios, antennas, RF band. Talked a little bit about Wi-Fi 6E. Talked about some situations in terms of designing Wi-Fi. So wireless LAN, again, frequency bandwidth, antennas, radios, ad hoc, infrastructure mode, tethering. 3 different ways of managing it. We talked about basic service set, put those together, we get an extended service set. Carrier sense, multi-access, collision avoidance. Okay, we check if the AP is available, it is, and then we communicate. Now it used to be, years ago, only one person then was communicating with the AP at any one time. That has changed recently. But anyway, you want to consider number of people, what kind of area they fit into, what kind of antennas you're going to use, omnidirectional, directional, or multiple antennas on the devices. You know, you get these Yagi antennas that are directional antennas. More on troubleshooting. and then security, layer 2, spanning tree, port fast, bridge protocol data units, guard, DHCP, managing all those wireless access points. And then we talked about different situations like guests, students, staff, so forth. Talked a little bit about port forwarding, network address translation. Beacons, producing the SSID, you can turn it off. There's, debate on whether that's a good or bad idea security-wise. Basic server set, grouping those together into an extended service set. And we talked a little bit about rogue devices and somebody connecting a rogue Wi-Fi device. Okay. Standards, 802.11, reviewed there, GUI or command line. Take the lab and adjusted it to our work. Packet tracers, helpful. Yeah, talked a little bit about the protocol that allows us to have these wireless LAN controllers that we connect to, and we'll look at that stuff in the capstone. 2 slides left. More on wireless, a lot of review, talked about the controllers. Key, understand so you can apply new technology. Yeah, I just had a deterrent. Okay, so we talked about frequencies, different ranges, distance, quality of the signal. We talked about, you can use these directional antennas to connect 2 locations. We actually did this at the school. We had the main building and an athletic building. We connected them using directional antennas and access points connected to them. All right. And this was the skills-based assessment. And yeah, they were to reconfigure their switch, both their switches for connectivity, ether channel, VLANs, yep, the whole works. And then we talked it through, what things we think we would need, the basic, divided VLANs into some logical groups, talked about advertising, setting up DHCP, a trunk with ether channel, doing some security, connectivity, and documenting their work. And that is it.